Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination. Wise words from a musical artist who has created the soundtrack for the journey of millions, Drake. As you experience your journey, it is important to know more than just your own history. It is important to know how we as a people have progressed, how we have soared, how we have faltered, how it started, and how it's going now. We refuse to surrender the leadership of this race to cowards and trucklers. We are men. We will be treated as men. On this rock we have planted our banners. We will never give up, though the trump of doom finds us still fighting. In 1905, W.E.B. Du Bois spoke these words during a speech given near Niagara Falls. The call to action became a shout just a few years later. The mission of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. The NAACP was founded in 1909. Some of the founding members included W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary White Ovington, Moorfield Story, Mary Church Terrell, and Ida B. Wells. In 1910, Story became its first president, and Du Bois was made Director of Publications and Research and established The Crisis, the acclaimed publication of the NAACP. In the annals of the Civil Rights Movement, the state of Alabama and her people are up front. We can pick up history books, newspaper articles, and videos where we can learn about the events that took place in Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham. However, very little is written about the freedom fighters in Lee County, Alabama, led by members of the Auburn NAACP, the Voters League of Lee County, Auburn Freedom League, and Lee County, Alabama NAACP Branch 5038. The Auburn NAACP, before it became defunct more than 20 years ago, was very active in the civil rights movement and voters' rights and registration. Members included Auburn Council member Connie Fitch Taylor, Bernice Baharanyi, John Zellers, Mary E. Brooks, Eddie Reese, Maletta Elliott, Doris Tolbert Hutchinson, and Barbara Pitts. Georgiana Higgins was the first president, and Morris Lewis followed her in serving its members. In 1964, members of the Auburn NAACP participated in a march with members of the Auburn Freedom League and other civil rights groups to increase the number of voter registration days in Lee County. They were denied a permit to march, but they marched anyway from Thompson Chapel AME Zion Church to the courthouse in Opelika, Alabama. Many of them were arrested, including Barbara Pitts. They spent one night in jail. They were also joined by Tuskegee University students Wendell Paris, Charlie Schultz, an individual called Black Jesus, and Sammy Young Jr., the first Black college student activist murdered during the Civil Rights Movement. Meetings of the Auburn NAACP were held at Bell Missionary Baptist Church, the old White Street Baptist Church, and Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, and Lochapoka. No stronger civil rights movement partnership existed in the 1960s than the one between the Lee County Voters League and the Lee County NAACP. Residents often held leadership positions in both organizations and thus fostered better communication and the ability to achieve justice and change on behalf of those living in Lee County. That positive working relationship is still in place today. The Lee County, Alabama NAACP Branch 5038 was founded in April 1965. Some of the founders were Albert Chambers, Pearlie Mae Floyd Hutchinson, Mary Fraser Hunter, Paul Gibson, Dr. A.L. Wilson, Reverend R.L. Harrington, and Ms. Lipcomb. Branch 5038 was formed partly in response to barriers in place that impacted the right to vote for black citizens, school integration, and racial and economic discrimination. After many decades of thriving as a vibrant organization, Branch number 5038 became inactive in 2003 due to a decline in activity. As stated in a letter dated March 2, 2020, to the national office, many of the elected officers had become overwhelmed with non-NAACP activities, so much so that their NAACP responsibilities were left undone. As a result, many of the rank-and-file members stopped attending and stopped renewing their memberships. The presidents from 1965 to 2003 were Dr. A.L. Wilson, Pearlie Mae Floyd Hutchinson, Dr. Marvin Dowdell, Herbert E. Trimble, and Irene Dowdell. Some of the issues they dealt with included race discrimination at a Smith Stations Bank and Opelika High School, voting rights for blacks, a blackface incident at Auburn University, Title I schools, membership recruitment, a lack of blacks in various government positions, the AIDS/HIV epidemic, a lack of representation in elected positions in Lee County with a focus on Auburn and Opelika, police brutality, and redlining by lending institutions. They used many models of engagement such as letter writing, face-to-face meetings with elected officers, including Governor George Wallace and members of the legislature, to achieve justice for the residents of Lee County. They also traveled to various places to meet with leaders from the NAACP's national office, including then-Chairman Julian Bond. Some of the accomplishments achieved with its partner, Voters League of Lee County, included increased number in voter registration days, execution of a very successful fundraising banquet, effectively blocked the removal of Jeter School from the Jeter community, filed a civil suit in federal court, U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Alabama Eastern Division, requesting that the commission form of government be abandoned in Opelika, consent decree issued requiring the city of Opelika to adopt either a mayor-council or manager-council form of government. As a result of their efforts, many firsts occurred in Lee County, including the first black individual, Mary E. Brooks, elected as an official in Lee County. She served on the Auburn City Council. Mary Brooks Drive in Auburn is named to honor her. The first two black men, George Bandy and John A. Harris, elected to Opelika City Council. The first white woman, Ann Grady, elected to Opelika City Council. The first black man, Albert Chambers, elected as Lee County Commissioner, District 5. The first black woman, Patricia A. Jones, elected to Opelika City Council. And the first black woman, Bertie Peterson, appointed to the Opelika School Board. Meetings of Branch 5038 were held at numerous churches, including Bethesda Baptist Missionary Church, Thompson Chapel AME Zion Church, St. James Missionary Baptist Church, Ferguson Chapel CME, and East Street School. In fall 2019, Billy U. Allen, John A. Harris, Oscar Penn, Irene Dowdell, Bernice Baharani, and others formed a committee to reactivate Branch 5038. Many residents felt strongly that a local NAACP branch was needed to address the inequities that existed in the county, such as affordable housing, policy changes to ensure justice for all, and advocacy on behalf of all, but especially for blacks living in Lee County. On July 25, 2020, the NAACP Board of Directors approved the reorganization of Lee County Branch 5038. Billy U. Allen was elected president in December 2020 and served until December 2022. Some of the issues addressed by the Allen administration included affordable housing, equal services and programs for the Carver Jeter communities, Auburn MLK Boulevard streetscape, membership and fundraising, community outreach, reactivation of the Auburn University chapter, voter registration, education, and participation, redistricting in Lee County, Auburn, and Opelika, and COVID education and testing. Accomplishments included partnerships with Lee County Remembrance Project, LCRP, PRF Financial Initiative, presentation of legally drawn maps to the City Council of Auburn and Opelika to ensure fair representation for all citizens, especially people of color, advocacy in front of the Lee County Commissioners to increase the number of commissioners from 5 to 7 to improve representation for all, presentation of an updated Carver-Jeter plan to Opelika City Administration, a highly successful second-year anniversary celebration that increased membership and raised funds to support a scholarship for the LCRP essay contest. During this time, the country was experiencing a pandemic and meetings were held virtually via Zoom.
All right, Mr. Landy, tell me that story again.
Okay, so like I said, one trip that I went with Mom and them to see Governor Wallace, and Mom was telling him that blacks in Alabama wanted to be able to vote, and he said, no, you colors, as long as I'm the governor of the great state of Alabama, you colors will never vote in Alabama. And Mama said, well, you forgot. We clean white people's houses. And when we get to talking, they listen. And when we get through talking about you, you won't be able to be elected dog catcher in the great state of Alabama. And he went, are you serious? And she leaned over his desk and said, I ain't no joke. He said, oh. He said, well, go back to Lee County and talk to the mayor and see what he said. And her head, she said, 500. He said, there ain't no 500 colors in Lee County. She said, I can show you better than I can tell you. And she said, next time you see me, I'll have a list of names. 2 weeks later, she walked in his office and he saw her with that vanilla envelope in her hand. He went, huh? And he was looking at the name. These ain't no real people. You made these up. She said, that is phone number, call.
Outings, and once a year they will have what they call the Camporee over at Municipal Auditorium over in Columbus. And they a bunch of boys from all the Lee County area and Old Columbus and all that would meet. And they would just have a lot of fun, good time. But Chambers was one that would help people. He was a people person. And he would always help people when they was in need. And if someone needed something, he could help them, he would do so. He bought shoes and things for several people that needed them, that wanted to go to church but they didn't have their attire. So he would come out of his pocket and buy stuff for them that they may be able to go to church. And he was a hard worker too. He worked for Dawsey Seed Company for several years. And later he got a job at Uniroyal. But he was always, as I say, he was always a good people person that helped anybody that he saw who was in need and that he could help. And he also was married with one daughter and one grandson. Well, I think he had 2 grandsons. That's about all I'm thinking right now.
Okay, and you said Mr. Chambers was involved with the NAACP and the Voters League?
Yeah, he was chairman of the Voters League for, I can't think of how many years, but many, many years. But he also worked closely with Miss Hutchison in the NAACP.
And then they took many, many trips to Montgomery.
Montgomery, yes, they did. And they would make trips when the lawyer would call that they need him down there. He would always take off of work, and he had the supervisor would understand. He'd let him off, and he would take them down there, and they would go see about getting the change and where the progress had been made and changed the government here in Opelika.
Yeah, so the form of government here in Opelika, Mr. Chambers and Ms. Hutchison
Reverend Harrington.
and Reverend Harrington, they were the force
They
behind that.
They was the main catalyst, yes.
That's pretty awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So we're here at the home of Deacon Herbert Slaughter,
yes.
who's giving us a history lesson on the powerful actions that the people in the city of Opelika took on behalf of its residents, and being involved with the Branch 5038 and the Voters League.
Yes.
So thank you for your service.
Hello, my name is Marvin Dardell. I'm former president of the NAACP. My tenure was approximately 1996 through 1999. And what the NAACP means to me is having a strong community, especially among our black citizens. And it also means holding people accountable to make sure that we are properly represented, not only in the community, but nationwide, represented as a people. The NAACP has been a strong foundation, a strong leader in the community nationwide for several years. I can't remember the exact date that the NAACP was founded, but I know ever since it's been founded, it has been a strong organization as far as, like I said, holding people accountable, making sure that we are represented, making sure that people are accountable. And so that's what the NAACP means to me. Thank you.
All right. My name is Irene Dowdell. I am a member of the Lee County Branch 5038, and my reason for joining and serving as president, I was concerned about the injustice in the community, discrimination, and voting right acts, and getting people to register to vote and restore people that had went to prison their citizenship back where they could be able to vote.
I'm Billy U. Allen. I'm the former president of Lee County Branch 5038 of the NAACP. I was president from late 2020 until December 2022. Presently, I'm a member of the executive committee of that branch. The reason that I joined the NAACP and I'm a lifetime member is because of people like Ms. Ashley Ann Bell and the opportunities that the NAACP has provided for our young people to become like a district court judge. The NAACP has been in the forefront of the civil rights movement for over a century, and I plan to be a part of that effort until the day that I die. Thank you very much.
Good evening. This is Parker Hamilton. I serve as chair of the Heritage and History Ad Hoc Committee for Branch 5038, along with committee members Billy U. Allen, Deborah Bedell, Irene Dowdell, David Monahan, Oscar Penn, Nathaniel Scott, and Lillian Snipes. And we want to thank you. Thank you for recounting history. Thank you for telling us about your ancestors. Thank you for telling us about you. And thank you for allowing us to come into your home and sit at your kitchen table. The stories that you told us, the history that you shared, was filled with pain, anguish, and yes, there was joy and also pride in the work that was done by the freedom fighters in Lee County, Alabama. Our story is incomplete, and we need your help. So tonight, I invite you to talk with committee members and let them know what artifacts, what documents, what stories you have to tell to make this history complete. We need to document the accuracy of what we have written. What happened as we talked to you is that oftentimes we heard conflicting story. That is why it is so important that you join this effort in order to complete the story and to help us document what we have. This fall, Branch 5038 will be working with Auburn University students. We will be reaching out to many of you in this room to have you tell that story again. We will bring you together with others in order to jog your memory. So, please step forward. Please be a part of this monumental effort to document the history of NAACP Branch 5038 in Lee County, Alabama. Thank you.